a song for you.
You're listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I will do one episode for each song the band recorded in the studio. However, this is a fan podcast and not band endorsed. It's more of a tribute to their long history, well beyond just the hits, and my way of giving something back to a band that has given so much to me. Let's dig in! Hello and welcome to another episode of Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, here with another fun one. Now, this one, the order that I'm doing these in, the configuration may be different depending on which version of the album you have, where you live. This was the American version that had this song on it instead of Demon's Eye, and going in order of that. Also, I'm working off of the 25th anniversary edition, so this is a remixed version, which has a little more clarity than the original album version did. So that's kind of fun. And this is a song that I remember, I think it was either on one of the live versions or in an interview. I tried to find it, and I wasn't able to find any interviews, but it dawns on me now that it might have been a live version of the song, that this was actually based on a true story. A friend of theirs they knew who was unfortunately extremely unlucky in life, as the story will tell us. But musically, it's an interesting song. It's pretty straightforward rock and roll, really. And I say we just jump right into it. Here from Deep Purple is Strange Kind of Woman. Chaos right off the bat. You got to love it. Interesting thing about the count in, though, is that typically what you would hear is 1, 2, 3. The 4 would be silent to give the engineer a little bit of room to punch in, and then the song would start. But here we get the full 4 count, which is interesting, and then gets right into just some pandemonium. I mean, Richie's playing stuff that you don't know what the riff is, you don't know anything about the song yet, and they're already just kind of starting all over the place. And then Ian Pace, then they just hit the chord. Ian Pace plays this lovely little drum fill to get the song started, and boom, we're right into the first verse. Not big on long introductions on this song, as we've experienced with many of the songs that this band has done. Either it's like way too long, like River Deep Mountain High, or it just jumps right into basically the verse, like, you know, the album version of Speed King or this song. I mean, it's really interesting. It's like one or the other. Not a lot of medium intros on this album so far.
There once was a woman, a strange kind of woman, the kind that gets written down in history. Her name was Nancy, her face was nothing fancy. She left a trail of happiness and misery. I loved her, everybody loved her. She loved everyone and gave a good return. I tried to take her, I even tried to break her. She said, I ain't for taking, won't you ever learn?
I had to double check my headphones because now I've got Richie on the right side. John seems to be a little bit towards the right side, vocals slightly to the left. The bass seems equally in both ears, but yet it doesn't sound like it's a weighty audio on the right side. Blended very nicely. Huge sounding mix from Roger. I really think he did such a great job on this album. Drums sound big and fantastic. Everything's cutting through. But the balance between organ and guitar is really interesting. I'm not sure I'm picking up everything John is doing. Maybe if he'd have been panned over to the left a little bit more and separated. Of course, the particular octave and sound might be blending in with Richie too, to where it just sounds like it's one instrument.
I want you, I need you, I gotta be near you. I spent my money as I took my turn. I want you, I need you, I gotta be near you. Ooh, got a strange kind of woman.
I don't know what the exact term is for the style of song because it's done in the style of a shuffle, but it's not being played like a shuffle. So instead of ba-bum, 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 you've got bum, ba-bum, bum, ba-bum. I don't know if that's called a half shuffle or what, but either way, that's what we're getting, and that's what's important. Doesn't really matter what it's called, and it feels good. I think if it had been like a full shuffle, might be too much. I like that this has got a little bit more room to breathe, and for the rest of the instruments to shine through instead of it driving that hard on drums, especially with this mix where the drums are coming in pretty hot. The bass is a little bit muddy for my taste, but that's just me. But we are getting very clear sound on guitar and a little bit on the organ I'm hearing coming through. Overall, though, it's a pretty good mix, but it's just bigger and louder and more powerful, and I really like that. It's a really ballsy mix. Great vocals from Ian, of course, but it's a really simple song. You know, it's not some intricate thing. Like we started out with this intricate pattern melodically, and you know the drums were doing this long drawn out fill following the notes on the melodic side, and everything since then has just been, you know, pretty straightforward and nice. It's a good rock and roll tune.
Looks like a raver, but I can never please her. On Wednesday mornings, boy, you can't go far. I couldn't get her, but things got better. She said, Saturday nights from now on, baby, you're my star. I want you, I need you.
I could hear the organ cutting through a little bit more on this verse. And yeah, the guitar and organ are both on the right side. Bass is pushed towards the left. And that's why we're getting that balance where it doesn't feel like there's too much sound on one side and not the other. But that's really weird because normally what you would get is John and Richie split between the left and the right. So you have, you know, the distinction between the two. But since they're playing very similar, maybe it wasn't so much of a need for that. I do like the bass being a little bit more isolated, though. That is kind of nice. And I'm getting enough of it in my right ear to where it doesn't feel tonally imbalanced either. It's a really interesting mix, different from what I'm used to with Deep Purple, but really cool.
I gotta be near you. I spent my money and I took my turn. I want you, I need you. I gotta be near you. Oh, got a strange kind of woman.
I really love the vocals being followed by the guitar and then accented by that crash cymbal at the end of every line. I think that's a great way to emphasize what's being said without drowning out the vocals. If you put the crash cymbal early, then that can tend to bleed into the vocals a little bit, typically because of the frequency and just the volume of a crash. But it's also distracting because it comes in with a heavy attack. So you hear it, you pay attention to it. So I really like the way that structure's done. I was trying to think of other songs that might have had a similar structure, and honestly, nothing comes to mind. But it's very typical when you're listening to one thing. It's really hard to think of other things that are the same at that time. So like when you're listening to one song, it's really hard to think of, okay, what were these lyrics to this other song, or what was the melody to this other song, because you've got this one playing. Interesting human thing, because with movies I can do it, or television shows I can do it, but for some reason with music, maybe there's just too many things to pay attention to. But yeah, I really like that setup. I love that part. It really changes up the feel of the song. Obviously, great vocals from Ian Gillan. And I love the playing from Ian Pace on that too. And interestingly, the organ has moved over to the left ear for that section. So I found that pretty interesting too. A nice gritty organ sound. But yeah, it's such a fun song. I mean, obviously, you know, it's a bit of a tragedy, but it's a neat story to tell. And although I'm not much of a lyrics guy, sometimes when Ian's just getting up there and telling a story like this, I really enjoy it. Well, I can say this is another great solo from Richie. It fits the song very well. And again, I always have to point out there's a nostalgia factor that goes with that. I've been listening to this song for 40 years. So to me, it feels very much a comfortable solo that fits the song. But I really think it does. I think it stays within the lane of the song. The song isn't too crazy as far as the music goes. It's like I said earlier, it's a pretty straightforward song. So for the solo to just really stick with the tempo, it doesn't. There's no trills in it. There's no, crazy running the pick down the strings or anything. It's just a really nice melodic solo.
Want you, I need you, I gotta be near you. I spent my money as I took my turn. I want you, I need you, I gotta be near you. Ooh, got a strange kind of woman.
Now I'm hearing the organ slightly left of center. Didn't really hear that in the first verse, but again, things can change throughout a song. It doesn't have to be set in one place. But I am getting a little bit more balance of organ in the left ear, bass a little further to the left than the organ is. And nice to come back out of the solo to that chorus again, because I think it just fits the energy of the song really well. So great construction, whoever decided that.
She finally said she loved me. I wed her in a hurry. No more calls and I glow with pride. I'm dreaming, I feel like screaming. I won my woman just before she died.
Bummer. What's cool about that part, though, is I love the crash cymbal emphasis. They were a little bit quieter to kind of leave that room for the vocal. And then the very last one, he didn't play, which I liked. Instead of it just being consistent all the way through to the end of that measure, he cut out the last one, which I thought was really good.
I want you, I need you, I gotta be near you. I spent my money as I took my turn. I want you, I need you, I gotta be near you. Ooh, I had a strange kind of woman.
That little fill in from Richie there in the middle of the chorus, those things are everything. They take away the monotony of the repetition of a part. And it's not much. It's just a little flourish that feels very natural. And, we hear Richie do that a lot live. So he's really good at that kind of thing. And I think that was a perfect place to put it. And then changing the words to "had a strange kind of woman," because now, of course, she's dead. Really cool change in that. It kind of reminds me of when Mark III started doing Highway Star, and it was "they all came out to Montreux" instead of "we all came out to Montreux." Just kind of showing the difference of time and who's involved in it. I really like that. But yeah, pretty cool up to this point. Great lyrics, but it does get probably as close to copy and paste as Purple gets, because it really isn't a lot that differentiates the different choruses, and we do get quite a bit of them with that extra one coming out of the solo section. But with those little flourishes, the different drum fills, it does. Each one is kind of individual. Yeah, this is another one that I just want to chase to the end. And there's, it's obviously continuing the great solo that Richie played earlier. Really, again, following that same restriction of, there's, I mean, not that it was actually set by Richie, but what I'm getting out of is there's like none of the trills, none of the going off too fast or in a different direction. He's really staying within the lane of the song. Something that I often said on Uriah Heep, the Magician's podcast with Mick Box's solos, is that he really understood the song and was playing within the song and not getting too crazy. I listened to especially more shred guitarists that just don't even seem to know there's a song playing behind them. They're just playing whatever they feel like. And often it just doesn't even match the song for me, but this matches the song beautifully. The other thing that we're getting that's making this increasingly more intense is we get Ian Pace just starting out with the straight beat, then going to the crash cymbals the way he did in the chorus, then doubling up on those, and then adding some additional snares and just making it really, really powerful on the drums. And I don't know how far it extended out beyond where it fades out here, but I will say I enjoyed everything I heard up until the very last note when the song went past the mountains and I couldn't hear it anymore. Would love to know what else happened, but we get what we get, and I really appreciate this mix that Roger did. This song would be a huge staple in their live sets, even into, after the Perfect Strangers reunion. But there would be a little battle back and forth between Ian Gillan and Ritchie Blackmore, seeing who could come up with an idea and who could copy it properly on the fly. And although it was pretty similar from gig to gig, I've heard some versions that were just very different, very, oh, I don't know, why don't I try this? And the other one would have to copy it. So really a lot of fun. I don't know if they were the first ones to do that or not, but I will say that what they did was incredibly enjoyable. Every performance I've ever heard of the song. So check that out. Great version of that on Made in Japan. And then on, I want to say Denmark 72, I believe there was, but I could be wrong on that. I don't have a copy of the album to that, so I can't look at the songs right now. But yeah, great live versions of the song out there. And like I said, I mean, it's kind of a classic story. Boy meets girl, boy gets girl, boy loses girl right after he gets her. Pretty classic tale. I like the way that the story was told. Love the mix here. Could use just a little bit more Jon Lord. I wish he would have been over more to the left from the beginning of the song, but that's not what I was getting in my headphones anyway. So hopefully it's one that you guys will enjoy. I wonder though, for the people that lived in areas, I want to say probably Japan, that got Demon's Eye instead of Strange Kind of Woman, I wonder what it was like to go hear this song. They go see them live and they're like, what the hell is this? But I think it might have been released as a single. Let me look, because I want to say it was. I would only have it if it was on Purple Records. But Purple Records did issue, they went back and issued some singles from, like In Rock and stuff. So I'm just going to take a look here and see, because I honestly can't remember. Would help if I found the right spreadsheet, wouldn't it? Let's see here. Yes, there is one I have on Purple Records. It's actually on a 45 called 2+2 Volume 43. And on side A, you've got Black Knight Live and then Strange Kind of Woman. Then on side B, you've got Fireball and Speed King. I think those are edited down, if I remember right, to fit on the 45. But that is the only Purple Records release I can find for Strange Kind of Woman. And yeah, it's pretty cool that they released it. So the people that had only gotten Demon's Eye and not Strange Kind of Woman would then have had access to it. So pretty cool. Great song, real classic rock and roll, probably about as basic as it gets for Deep Purple. They didn't really have a lot of basic songs. And this one's, it's a really straightforward riff, really simple, nothing too intricate. Solo's not crazy. It feels really good with the song. Just some great songwriting and performance. I think that probably something that's easily identifiable for a wide range of listeners who can appreciate it, but especially the fact that it's, a good story song. So anyway, guys, that's Strange Kind of Woman, and that is our show for today. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you loved the song. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers! Thanks for listening to Deep Purple Smoke on the Podcast, a tour of the entire Deep Purple studio recordings. Please remember to give the show a rating on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening. Leave a comment and tell your friends. I also have a Patreon set up if you'd like to support the show. You can also write to me at smokeonthepodcast@gmail.com. I hope you enjoyed the episode and thanks for listening.